Debt and equity ratio by Rabannes Mikey A. Debt and equity ratio is used to evaluate the company's financial leverage and is calculated by dividing a company's total liabilities by its shareholders' equity. And financial leverage is the use of the borrowed money, debt, to finance the purchase of asset with the expectation that the income or capital gain from the new asset will exceed the cost of borrowing. First problem, Beverly's company has a debt of 14 million but 42 million in equity. How much is the debt to equity ratio of Beverly's company? Solution. With the formula of debt to equity equals total liabilities divided by total shareholders' equity. So debt to equity is equals to 14 million divided by 42 million is equals to 0.3. Conclusion. Since the company has a debt to equity ratio of 0.3, the company has a very low debt load and is primarily financed by shareholder assets, a safer bet and a lower risk business. Second problem. Mr. Ramos wants to invest in a company where it will profit. His friend James offered his company with a debt of or business loans of 1 million and return earnings of 16 billion. What is the debt to equity ratio of Mr. James' company? Should Mr. Ramos invest in it and why? Solution. The equation of debt to equity is equal to total liabilities divided by total shareholder equity. So debt to equity ratio equals to 1 million divided by 16 million is equal to 0.6. Conclusion, given that 0.6 debt to equity ratio is regarded as a low risk ratio, it indicates that Mr. James' company is a good investment and Mr. Ramos should invest in it. Problem number 3. Miss Estrella wants to find an investor for her company. Her company's business loan is 50 million and return earnings of 37 million. What is Mrs. Estrella's company debt to equity ratio? As an investor, would you invest in Mrs. Estrella's company and why? Solution. With the debt to equity equation, debt to equity is equals to 50 million divided by 37 million is equals to 1.35 or 1.4 if we round off. Conclusion. As an investor, even though 1.4 is debt to equity ratio is average, that means it is a wise investment. However, I would consider the nature of Miss Estrella's company to determine whether I can expect it to make money over the long run or it will fade away from the market. Thus, I will rely on what Miss Estrella's business has to offer. Problem number 4. Mr. Gomez's father died and left him a sum of money. Mr. Gomez wants to invest it and he is choosing between the two companies, which is the Robinsons Company and Domino's Company. Robinsons Company has a 100 million of debt and 60 million in equity. And then Domino's has a 30 million debt and 80 million in equity. Which company should Mr. Gomez choose and why? Solution. With our equation, debt to equity is equals to 100 million divided by 60 million is equals to 1.66 or 1.7 if we round off it. This is for Robinson's company. Next is solution for Domino's company. The debt to equity is equals to 30 million divided by 80 million is equals to 0.37 or 0.4 if we round off it. Conclusion. Based on their different debt to equity ratios, if Mr. Gomez would choose between these two, it would be the Doppins company. A 0.37 or 4 debt to equity ratio is a good indicator that a company is low risk for investment, unlike for Robinson's company. Last problem. Siblings Christina and Joy recently received their payout from their joint Palawangan slot and they want to invest the money. Their aunt recommended investing in the Lucky Company, saying she has already done so through a friend. After doing some research, Christina and Joy discovered that their equity was 40 million and their debt was 120 million including a business loan. What is the debt to equity ratio of the Lucky Company? Do they have to invest in it too and why? For the solution, debt to equity is equals to 40 million divided by 120 million is equals to 3. So the conclusion is the Lucky Company has a very risky ratio with the debt to equity ratio of 3. So Christina and Joy shouldn't invest in there because the risk is very high and there is a good chance that they lost their money. And to say that the company's debt to equity ratio is good, the below 1 debt to equity ratio is an indicator that it is a low risk investment. A 1 to 2.5 debt to equity ratio is an average. If it's higher 3 or higher than 2.5, it is considered as risky investment. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Goodbye.